Hey guys, Sharpend here, and in this video we're going to be making a hip-hop R&B based drum loop. We're also going to be talking about post-processing for this drum loop as well. The end result should sound something like this. So in this video we're going to be making a drum loop in the style of hip-hop and R&B loops. And in order to do that, the first thing you want to do is to find some samples. So what I like to do is to either find samples that fit the genre that I'm looking for, or finding samples that, like finding one cool drum sound and then building an entire kit around it. So I'll show you the samples that I chose to build for this one. So I have a kick. Since it's hip-hop, I'm looking for a kick that is live and doesn't sound too electronic and too hard-hitting. And I have a snare, some claps. This one sounds more like a drum machine and this one sounds real. And I can layer that with the snare later on. And then I have some toms. And another kick in case I need it. And now I have some hi-hats. So notice that I have a few open ones and a few closed ones, and it really depends on what kind of style I'm going for. Sometimes open hi-hats sound better and sometimes closed ones sound much better. So in addition to that, I also have some crash, and since it's hip-hop, I think it's really a necessary part to have some record scratch. So here it is. And now let's get into programming. So the first thing you want to do is to choose a tempo. I just chose randomly 106 BPM, but anything works. And then you want to start first of all by laying down a kick and a snare. So you want to do something fairly simple. You don't want to overcomplicate things. So I'm going to just try and make something and see what happens. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to change this like that. Yeah, let's do something like this. Maybe like that. Yeah, I think that something like this can work pretty well. And now we can just layer in some hi-hats. I'm just going to put them in quarter notes and not think too much about them. So now they're acting like some sort of metronome for us. And if you've seen my Future Garage drum loop videos, then you've probably already know this, but 1/6 of a beat is really perfect to add some nice swing to your drum loops. And since it's hip-hop, it works really well. So a good example would be to take this thing and change it to be here compared to this. Maybe even like that. I think I'll put it here. And then we can do the same thing with the rest. So let's hear it. I think I'm going to keep it like that. And maybe add another one here. And then you can do the same thing with the hi-hats. So let's try and do something. Maybe like that. Let's see. So as you can see, I'm not putting it exactly on the grid, even on the 1/6 of a beat. I'm slightly moving it to the side. And then when I duplicate that, I get a swing that follows the entire loop. So I'm going to do just that. And now I can rebuild my loop based on this swing that I just created. So as you can see, for example, we have this kick right in the middle. And here we have the hi-hat slightly to the right, so I can just move the kick to the right as well and see how that sounds. And again, same thing here. I can move the kick slightly to the right and I need to repeat this process as necessary to get drums that sound more in sync, even though they're slightly swung. So same thing here and here, and now let's see what we get. Maybe I can add a tom here. And maybe I'll do it like this. So as you can see right here, instead of repeating the same rhythm with the tom, I just took the snare and just added it on the last 6th note here, and then on the 6th note that is leading to our kick. I can even maybe swing it to the right a bit so that it fits better with the hi-hat and the kick. And as you can see, the 6th note is really what makes this sound so good. Let's hear it. Yeah, I think this works. Let's swing this one. And I can maybe add the snare here as well. Yeah, so as you can see, it works really well to add 6th notes of snares and kicks as well. And one thing that helps bring these loops to life is when you have like these tiny fills with the kicks with the snare on the very last beat of the beat here. So it works really well if you just slowly lower the velocities, since these are hits that are supposed to be less accentuated and they just help bring the rhythm forward. So yeah, something like this could work pretty well. And you can also create tiny snare rolls. So I'm going to try and make one here by just lowering the velocity of an additional hit before. And maybe I can do the same thing here as well. And maybe I can have a kick here. Yeah, I think the kick works pretty well, so I'm just going to duplicate the entire thing. And then on the second part that this repeats, I'm going to introduce this kick. Let's hear it. Yeah, I think this works pretty well. And now you can just add some velocity changes to your hi-hats. I like to do that by using the Quantize function. I just choose a random thing from here and I remove the start time and the duration. I don't change that at all. I'm only changing the velocity, but usually by a tiny amount so that it doesn't sound too obvious. It's just there to add some humanize to this loop. And one more thing that you can do is take a very open hat, like something like this, and just add it instead of a hi-hat in one of the bars. So yeah, something like this should sound fine. And maybe I can even add like another hi-hat that is leading to it. Yeah, something like this should be fine. Yeah, I think that it sounds pretty good like that. And maybe I can even add a tom in here as well. Yeah, I think that this works pretty well. And now we can layer in our clap. So I really like the sound of live claps on live snares. It usually works really well. So I'm just going to offset the clap by a tiny bit, since it has like a bit of a starting transient before the main clap hits. So let's just see if we got it right. Yeah, I think this one sounds pretty good. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to just select half of the bar, and I'm going to copy it and just paste it over and over using Ctrl B, like so. And altogether you should get something like this. And then we can add our crash and maybe even add some record scratches. Let's try them. So when I'm doing record scratches, it usually goes like half a beat each. So I'm usually also line up the kick to be with each record scratch hit like this, because it works really well, as you can hear. So now that you have a basic loop like this one, I really like to make them sound a lot bigger by some compression and distortion. So let's do just that. I'm using this plugin just to add some compression. I'm basically setting the threshold to be very low, and I'm using a lot of makeup gain to make it sound very squashed. And I'm also using it as an EQ to remove some of the highs. Let's hear it without it. Let's hear it with it. So as you can hear, it adds a lot of compression, and you can do the same thing with any compressor that you like. Even the Fruity compressor works really well. You just set the threshold to be really low, you set the ratio to be fairly high, and just increase the gain by a lot. And then just mess with the type of compression and the attack and release to get varying results. The more attack that you bring, you'll save the transients from being compressed. I just like this plugin because it also has an EQ afterwards, so I can tame some of the highs that get very obnoxious when you add a lot of gain. And then I like to use the rev plate. I really like its drive function, but in this case I'm also bringing a tiny bit of wet reverb. I'm using it on the shortest setting. It's like 1 second of decay time, and it sort of makes it feel like it's being played in a real room, even though these are just samples. So as you can hear, the compression really brings this drum loop to life. Without it, it sounds pretty not coherent. You have sounds that are very loud and sounds that are very quiet, and usually compression just solves that problem, and some distortion obviously sounds great on drums as well. Usually it works really well when you have like crashes or open hi-hats with a kick. It usually sounds great together. So if you get a chance in your loop, try layering crashes and open hi-hats on top of kicks as well. And that is pretty much it. I hope this video can help you start and experiment with creating your own drum loops, and good luck. If you found this tutorial helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below what subject you want me to cover up next time.